It's Thursday, August 9th, 2012. I'm Rym.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, tickets.
Let's do this.
You might be able to predict if you have some sort of psychic ability or perhaps some sort of Prince of Nothing, Kellis level human understanding that this is sort of a Crab People episode.
No.
Nah.
Well, I mean, it's a Thursday. We came up with the book club just to fill in a bunch of Thursday episodes
Well,
that we couldn't
speaking
come
of
up with
Thursday,
ideas
I'm
for.
done with The Man Who Was Thursday.
Oh, God, that's so...
Scott, it's a short book.
I've just been reading comics because I have a pile of them that are unread.
You got to read this. The book is not what you're expecting. It's
I already
actually,
read 2 chapters.
It gets more and more absurd.
Absurd, okay.
Yeah.
I read 2 chapters and it's all right.
It's all right, but it gets there's a Pepe Le Pew scene not too far into it with an old guy.
Okay.
And it just goes off from there. What's weird, this is totally a random aside. You know, it's Thursday, it's the lounge, talk whatever we want, but reading this, the description of the big police chief and of Sunday obviously won't mean anything to anyone who's not in the Geeknights book club and reading the books that we're talking about. For whatever reason, he reminds me of the primary early antagonist, the leader of the cult from our previous book club book, 1Q84. The way he is described
Okay.
and his powers and, well, anyway, I digress. So you've been reading comics, not doing anything productive?
Playing with my new computer.
Nah,
You know what's really weird about having my new computer that I bought the Adobe whatnot?
Uh,
Having Acrobat and not Acrobat Reader.
yeah.
It's so weird. It's like, oh, I can just turn anything into a PDF. Oh, and I can open up a PDF and then I can sort of edit it.
Now, what I love and hate
like,
about
what?
Adobe is that you said, and that's the key word, sorta edit it.
Yeah.
Because at my job, like my day job work, we use Confluence, Atlassian for the wiki,
Okay.
and all our documentation's in there. And you can export to PDF and use that to generate documentation. But obviously, page breaks and kerning and stuff doesn't work out so well.
Yeah.
So you can't just open that PDF and reflow it in Adobe. There's no way to do that.
Yep.
You basically can't edit anything that you would ever want to edit in Adobe.
Well, there is one thing you can do. If you go to Atlassian, right, does it have an option to print?
Yeah.
So
you know
what you
that
do,
does?
you go to File Print and you print to a PostScript file.
Scott, that looks
and
even
then,
worse.
I'm just saying, you put the PostScript
No.
file into
No.
the distiller, then you have a PDF that you can edit fully, but you have to edit it fully.
Yeah, and you know what? That doesn't look any better. Or
Well, I
work
mean,
any
you have to do
better.
work on it to make it look not worse.
The whole point is just that having Adobe Acrobat does not give me significantly more capabilities than I have without it. I don't mind having it for free, but I can't imagine a world where I would have paid for it.
No. Well, I mean, you could use it to make PDFs from scratch or like from InDesign.
Why would I ever do that? Every open source, everything can export to PDF and it works fine.
You can use like InDesign and then make a thing that looks really good and then whatever.
Or I would just use InDesign. I don't need Acrobat.
I'm just saying.
That's my predicament. Acrobat doesn't do anything.
It does a few things.
Yeah, it does things that it does the same level of things, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, that complex Excel macros do.
I'm just saying.
Those kinds of people are
Yeah.
the kinds of people who
I'm
use
just saying
Adobe
it's really
Acrobat.
weird to double click on a PDF and like Acrobat opens and you don't have to go download Acrobat Reader or anything.
Yeah, I'm simply
or
noting
use any
the-
of the built-in PDF things like in Chrome.
I'm noting the delicious irony that while it's different, you then rapidly realize that it's not as different as it should be.
It's still weird.
Yeah.
So a long time ago on this show, we interviewed Tarn Adams, who is the Dwarf Fortress guy.
Oh, yes, we did. You should go check out that interview. It was actually a really good interview.
That was a very popular episode, and I played Dwarf Fortress off and on, just because
Drf
it's-
Frtrss.
What?
Drf Frtrss.
Okay, I'm a little tired.
Tired?
Yeah.
You didn't. I was making a callback to a conversation we had before the show that usually you would respond to with, you would have said something like, Ryn Badersh, and then we would have had an inside joke. But instead, nothing.
Whatever.
What's going on here?
So, I haven't played it in a while, but now I have much faster computers, and I'm feeling kind of maybe dwarfing again. So, and there's a dwarf game going on in our forums again, so it's like, all right, let's re-dwarf. So this book came out very recently called Getting Started with Dwarf Fortress, a real book published by O'Reilly of actual book for reals. You can get the ebook or the paper one. I have the paper edition.
Yeah,
It's like,
not a
whoa.
sports page, not a magazine.
That's right. And you know
not
what?
a website.
This book is actually, I mean, there is a Dwarf Fortress wiki, and you're probably saying, why would I buy this book when I can just go to the wiki? And in fact, the guy who wrote the book is a huge wiki contributor, so it's like mostly the same stuff. Well, for some reason, looking in this book is just the way it's formatted and such. It's just been easier for me to read Dwarf with this book than compared to the wiki.
Well, the same information is presented in an actually useful fashion. The wiki gets a little wanky in terms of wankery of people who are into Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah. So, if you want to try some Dwarf Fortress,
Fortress.
even if you are scared of it or whatever, this book can actually make it happen.
Now, I think you should all read it even if you don't want to play Dwarf Fortress, because then
Not a bad idea.
You will experience something that nerds today, I don't know if they experience it as much as we did in the pre-internet days.
When we read like an NES
you would
strategy guide without playing the NES
You would get a
game.
strategy guide to a game that you would never own and vicariously experience the game through that strategy guide.
I don't know if this will do that, but anyway. But this, if you're, remotely considering Dwarf Fortress, or if you're just like avoiding it because you're afraid, get this book, Getting Started with Dwarf Fortress. It is a good, worthwhile book. You can follow the guy who wrote it on Twitter also, and he tweets about lots of Dwarf Fortress stuff. And, this will make it not painful.
I'm thinking about buying the book just to read, even though I have no intention of playing Dwarf Fortress again.
At least play a little Dwarf Fortress.
I've played some Drf Frtrss, and I did not... I get it, but I don't have the patience or the energy for the interface for the parts that I care about.
Okay.
The things that I'm most interested in have to do with like designing the layout of my city, which is cool, except it's a little too fiddly for me personally. I'd like
play
it.
Minecraft instead if you want to do that.
Yeah, but Minecraft sort of scratches a different itch, and I like setting up patrols and like managing my army and stuff. But that part is like the worst. Scott's having trouble here.
Having some troubles.
So I got a geek.
But yeah, this
bite.
book is A plus.
It's a great book.
A+ book.
Every time I'm over at Scott's house, I'm just kind of reading it idly while we watch Running Man. So I got a geek bite myself. You see, way back in the day, there was this thing called Venture Brothers, and Scott and I actually pretty much ignored it.
It's so old that at the first Kineticon we ever went to, they were watching it on the TV in the staff room.
No, that was not Kineticon. That was Katsucon.
I'm pretty sure it's Kineticon.
Wait, what staff room in Kineticon
When
are you talking
when we
about?
went to go pick up the badges and they had itineraries, remember? And it was in that room with the conference room with the table and the TV at the far end of the table.
I remember that layout for Katsucon, where we also picked up an itinerary.
I remember this at the first Kineticon that we went to ever.
Okay, because I remember that from a Katsucon. All right. Regardless, and I was like, you know what? Like, I realized it was very popular, but at the same time, there were similar kinds of things, like Aqua Teen Hunger Force and those kinds of shows that I just never liked. I assumed Venture Brothers was one of those because I watched a bunch of episodes in the middle and they didn't make any sense.
Well, all I knew about it was that it was an Adult Swim kind of show that was a Johnny Quest sort of parody, and it might have been good or bad, but it didn't seem like it was so great I had to run out and see it, so it was just way low on the list.
Yeah, so I would have
Didn't
ignored
care.
it, but it was too popular. I mean, I even remember a PAX.
Is it really that popular?
Yeah, where we showed up to our panel room, and they'll late at night, especially the enforcers in the rooms, if they don't have an ad they have to play, we'll just play stuff. So they were playing like episodes of the Venture Brothers, and there were hundreds of people in the room just hanging out watching that.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, when we showed up, they're like, yeah, you guys always want to play stuff, but can we just keep playing Venture Brothers? But I knew it was really popular. I watched some episodes from some point in the show, and I decided it was a stupid show that didn't go anywhere and had a lot of that kind of random Family Guy-esque sort of references, and I gave up on it. That was a mistake on my part. When I went to India a while ago, well, actually it wasn't that long ago, I acquired, by some means, all of the existing seasons of Venture Brothers, and I started watching it while I was in airports between flights. And it was okay. Wasn't great, but I was bored, and I had nothing else to do. So even though I watched 4 episodes and decided it wasn't that good, I kept watching because my options were keep watching this or sit here doing nothing.
You read a book?
I already read the one book I had with me.
Do something productive on your computer? Make something?
Like what? Back then, I was not planning to make those 2 games I'm currently working on.
In India? That wasn't long ago.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm working on those games. But anyway, so I watched more and more episodes, and then I realized at some point, like 8 or 9 episodes in, that I actually fucking love that show. The Venture Brothers is, now that I've seen enough of it to see what the deal is, easily one of my favorite recent television shows, anime, American, live action, anything. It is right up there. It's like 1 hair under Archer and like a few feet under My Little Pony. It's a great show, and if I need to sell you on it, I'll sell you on it for this. The show is really just a sort of treatment of what it would really be like if there were a family like the Johnny Quest family. More importantly, if Johnny Quest grew up and then had, his own family and had the same kind of bullshit happen to his kids. I don't know how to describe it. It's great. It's callbacks. Everything about the show is great. You should all watch it. Just bear in mind that the first, 5 or 6 episodes are not that funny and not actually that indicative of what the rest of the show is like. Kind of like what's this show that Gao Gagar?
Well, Gao Gagar is like, I haven't watched that, but I heard it's like 80 episodes are bad and then it's good.
Yeah, this is like 5 episodes are lame and then it picks up.
Can you just go to episode 6 then?
Yeah, probably. The thing is, the reason I didn't get Venture Brothers the first time I saw it is that I watched random episodes in the middle. The show is serial to a degree that missing 1 episode means the next episode makes no sense. It's just a straight up contiguous plot. Like stories, and some of those stories are disconnected, but it always picks up right after the awesome adventure. So you never see the actual awesome adventure. You just see them coming home from the awesome adventure. And then bullshit happens to them.
Okay.
Anyway, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here on this Thursday. Scott's fading fast.
I've faded already. What are you talking about?
So we'll get right into things of the day before Scott falls asleep.
This thing of the day is too good to save for a Wednesday when it'd be more appropriate, so I'm letting it loose right now because
Blowing your load early.
Right. So what this is somebody made this video documentary interview with Naoki Urasawa. It's 5 parts on YouTube, so it's like almost an hour long. It is so amazing. Profile of a genius. Oh my gosh.
It's not a Wednesday show.
You gotta watch this.
So I don't think that many of the people listening right now know who Naoki Urasawa is.
Well, watch this thing and fucking find out.
All right. Well, I'll at least say he's one of the greatest manga authors currently.
Pretty much number 2. Might even be number 2 all time, period.
Number 2 all time.
Tezuka Urasawa. Who else are you gonna put in there? Otomo?
I don't know.
Only did Akira. That was the only thing that would level
See, the thing is,
all time.
I really like Sanctuary, but it's not on that level.
Yeah, we could put Shiro, McGonagai.
I really like Eagle.
That's not greatest manga author of all time.
No, but that manga is so good that it deserves consideration.
Yeah, it's Eisner Award-winning manga, but so is Urasawa. And are you really going to say the guy who did Eagle is better than Urasawa?
You never know. Anyway, so I'm very much a fan when people take a real music video and do their own interpretation of it and do it well. Like one of those, like reanimate it or animate it or refilm it or something. But I also independently really like music videos that are themselves animated and tell a story. So Want It, Need It, Hold Me is a music video. It's animated. It's pretty sad. It's about a cat that gets hit by a car and a little girl who wants to bring it back from the dead. And someone reanimated this, and the reanimation is extremely well done. And more importantly, it's actually extremely clever because it tells an analogous story, but simultaneously it changes elements to make its own story make sense in and of itself. So you could watch the remake video and it makes perfect sense. You could watch the original, it tells a different similar story that also makes perfect sense.
You just couldn't stay away from ponies, could you?
It happens to be a My Little Pony mashup.
Yeah.
Scott, My Little Pony mashups constitute like 4% of all mashups at this point.
I'm just saying. That still leaves you with 96% of things to make things of the day.
Yeah, and I looked through my...
And then you can make a thing of the day that's not even a mashup, so...
All right, Scott, so you want... All right, I'll go through my like stream. Let's see.
You don't see me taking the easy way out, making it all Gangnam style things of the day.
But this thing is really good. What have I liked? What have I added to my list of things that are worth watching recently? The Care Bears movie.
No.
The trailer to the Care Bears movie. The good ending to Catherine. A video I made. You would have given me shit if I made my own video.
You can't make your own
day.
thing the thing of the day.
I'm going to do it then.
That's not allowed.
I'm doing it.
It's not permitted.
You want me to do Cat regrets stepping into tub instead?
That's not bad.
It is actually a really good video.
Let's watch it. We're watching it right now.
This is great. This cat is like...
All right, he's standing on the edge of a bathtub.
What's going on?
It looks like there's a little bit of water in there.
There is a little bit of water. What's that?
But not a lot. It's
this
like
out.
an inch or two of water.
I'm a cat.
He's doing the catwalk on the edge of the tub.
I'm going to reach my paw and see what's up.
He's reaching in.
Oh, fuck, it's water. Oh, fuck, I can't get back out.
He's got two arms in the tub, but the legs are still on the...
Oh, fuck, I'm in the water. Oh, my God, I can't get out of the tub. Oh, Jesus, fuck.
He got out.
The end.
Okay, he freaked out because he fell all four parts into the tub.
All right, I'll make that my thing of the day too, and you guys
know what we should
decide
do?
which one you liked more.
We should do take YouTube videos like that and just commentate over them like we just did, and then post them to YouTube as responses.
That's also not a bad idea for another show.
I'm just saying.
Do we do that before or after POTI?
I mean, we could just do that right now. It would take 5 minutes.
Or Project ST.
That would take 5 minutes for us to do.
But we just did it.
I know. It took 5 minutes.
I'll cut the audio out, and I will do it.
All right.
I will do it right after the show.
Mm.
So, meta moment. I made a YouTube video that was a mashup of My Little Pony and Powerpuff Girls.
I'm going to play this game. I made a YouTube video. I went on summer streets. I was biking up and down when they closed Park Avenue off to cars on last Saturday.
Interestingly,
they're doing it again tomorrow, and I just put my GoPro on.
Eh?
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Saturday. I put my GoPro on, and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth a whole bunch of times, and then I sped it up really fast, and I timed it so that the video is exactly as long as Rhythm and Police, and then I posted on YouTube.
So I woke up late because, well, I didn't wake up late. I flew in from Sao Paulo that morning, came home, promptly fell asleep for 2 hours, and then it was kind of late. Like, you don't want to go to Summer Street near the end of it.
Well, what time was it when you woke up?
When I could have gone to it was about 11.
So it does go to 1. So you would have had 3 hours worth, which is not, well, you would have had 2 hours worth, which is still enough. But the late hours are when all the tourists and slow people are out. I go out there at 7 a.m. and there's nobody out there except you and the other like 5 early morning New York people. So you can go way fast and no one gets in your way.
So
around 10 o'clock, it fills up with slow people and kids and families. And
I'm thinking on
time to
Saturday,
go home.
I'm going to rollerblade that shit.
That's not a bad idea. I saw some
because it's not that often I can rollerblade anywhere cool in New York City
I think
without dying.
my strategy for Saturday this time is, of course, 7 a.m., go out there, go back and forth, and when it starts clogging up and approaching 10, I'm going to go into the park and go in a circle because, tourists won't be in there that even at 10 so much.
But what we did, since I didn't do summer streets, we went biking later, and we went to the Smorgastown.
Smorgastown?
Basically, every Saturday, all through the summer, there is near Williamsburg, like if you're, that bike path that goes south, there is a city of not food trucks, but artisanal food stands.
Okay.
It's like a city. It's gigantic and had some Japanese tacos and some awesome Indian food.
Japanese tacos.
Yeah, and a dosa.
Right. We need to make Jewish tacos because every other kind of taco
So
has been
gefilte
made.
fish?
Doesn't have to be gefilte fish, but that could be a choice.
All right, so what, lox and cream cheese?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting somewhere.
I could eat that.
Potato laka taco.
I could eat pretty good.
A laka taco.
Lakataka, that's a good name for it, too. We got the name. That's
a Lakko.
No, Lakataka should be the name of the truck.
Laka taco. Or Lacarito.
So in the meta moment, we are going to be at PAX Prime and PAX Dev.
A Hebrito.
But Scott, I can't put cheese and meat in it.
And it'd be all glot kosher.
Anyway,
Well, it'll be in Williamsburg. There's plenty of hot seats.
the
around
meta
there.
moment. The book club book is The Man Who Was Thursday. The book is over 100 years old. It's in the public domain. Just read it. Jesus, you
free.
kids. Jesus.
And stop being pussies doing audiobooks.
It's meta, so we can talk about it. Okay use of audiobook. I have a long driving commute. I can listen to a novel. Bad use of audiobook. I don't read words anymore. I just listen to them. And
Good
I'm not
use of
blind.
audiobook. I can't see. My eyes were burned in a horrible accident, or I was born blind, or something. Or glaucoma.
Bad use of audiobook. We already talked about that.
Bad use of audiobook. I'm illiterate. Okay.
And don't forget, all our other old book club books are on the website. In fact, we've done a ton of books. in
Yeah,
our
so
book
if you're
club.
looking for a book to read and you haven't read every book club book, just go back, pick one, and then listen to the episode. It's not like the episode goes anywhere. It's
And
not,
you might
it's not like
want
it's a magical time limit.
to go back and do the Prince of Nothing ones because you realize sometime next year.
Those are the most important Geek Night. Those are the official book of Geek Nights is the Prince of Nothing series.
yeah, those books. God damn.
The same way the official games of Geek Nights are Counter-Strike, Tigris and Euphrates, Puerto Rico, and Natural Selection.
So not
and
only
Tribes 2.
are we going to miss a bunch of episodes because we're going to Seattle for a whole week between
Yep.
PAX Dev and PAX Prime, but then Scott is going to DjangoCon
In DC.
right after that. Then I am going to Warsaw for a couple of weeks, most
Warsaw.
likely. And maybe Istanbul again. And independent of all that, Counter-Strike Go is coming out.
Oh, and then by that time shit's done there, it's going to be like Halloween, Thanksgiving, holiday,
And then
New Year's.
MagFest.
MagFest is next year.
MagFest is right after New Year's.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, book club book stuff, panels at conventions. We have a Twitter. Our videos are on our website.
We have a mailing list.
The mailing list has unique exclusive content that you won't get anywhere else.
Oh yeah, I have because I bought a new computer and stuff, I have a bunch of stuff I'm going to get rid of. So I'm going to make a post somewhere that has pictures and descriptions of all the stuff I'm trying to get rid of. And if you want some of it, you have to pay me money. Some of it, I'll be happy to just someone take it away out of my house.
I'll play that game. Anyone want a broken blender?
My stuff is actually good and useful. I just don't need it. So once I post that page, you'll be able to find a link to it easily and can contact me if you want. A bunch of people have already expressed interest in the computer, so I got to come up with a fair price for it. It's old, so it's not worth that much, but it works really well and it's actually pretty good, so
Yeah.
it's worth something. And I feel
So-
bad just giving it away for free.
Why would you feel bad giving things away for free?
Well, I just feel bad giving away something really good for free.
So you're just selfish.
No, I have no problem giving it away mad cheap, just not absolutely free.
So as you may recall, we go to the Penny Arcade Expo every year, and every year, for many years, we would be amazed at people we knew or on the internet who would say things like, I wanted to go to PAX, but the badges sold out and now I can't go because the badges were on sale for many, many months.
Yep,
All those people could have at any time just gone and bought badges,
but they didn't.
which are basically tickets to get in, but they didn't. So I don't know if it's because we told people to do this for years or some unrelated thing happened that had nothing to do
I don't
with
think
us.
it was our fault that
We contributed, but I don't think we were the primary
we
cause.
contributed maybe a handful.
But this year, PAX Prime sold out effectively immediately.
Same as San Diego, same as all these other really popular concerts.
It's like
in
this
big
one year,
cities.
everyone in the world who wanted to go to PAX suddenly realized, wait a minute, I should just buy my badge right away.
Well, yep.
So now we have the problem of even right away doesn't guarantee you a spot.
We just gotta pay attention to the internets all the time.
Nah, because for example, look at like Otakon, like the ticket to get the artist alley table. That shit
Well, the
sold out.
supply to demand ratio for that is even lower, right? You've got like a few hundred tables and a few thousand people want them.
Yeah.
So you got to fight, you got to beat up 9 people, to be in the top 10%. For PAX, maybe you got to be in the top 75% to get to that.
I think it's worse than that.
It's not as bad as Otakon Artist Alley Table.
I think it's going to be worse than that next year.
Going to be. I just said is.
Oh, well, yeah. This year, it sold out in like an hour or two. But next year, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to do something cool to mitigate this. But if they do the same system they did last year, I predict that PAX Prime will sell out within 30 minutes of badges being announced for sale.
It'll sell out fast.
And I predict that PAX East will sell out within an hour of the badges being made available.
It'll
for
be
sale.
really fast.
And the scary part is that if it weren't for the fact that Scott and I have been guest speakers at every PAX we've ever attended, I wouldn't have even gotten to go to this PAX because I could not get a badge in time.
I got
and
one.
I actually was going to buy one for a chance to be an Omeganaut.
I also bought one for a chance to be a Meganaut. Now I have a badge.
No, I would have gone anyway. You know what I would have done? Enforced.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, but not everything gives you that option, right? If there's some concert you want to go to and it sells out, you can't be like, hey, can I be a roadie? Get in. It's like, no. Unless you're a roadie, you can't just suddenly become one just to get into one concert. It doesn't work that way.
So why does PAX sell out so quickly?
Because there's only limited supply and a great demand.
So why is demand so high?
Because PAX is awesome.
So in a rational market, shouldn't we increase the price until demand is exactly equal to supply?
That is true. We could do that. But the problem is they intentionally keep the price low to make sure that PAX is accessible to all. Because then it would be unfair that only the richest nerds get to go to PAX.
Now you see, you're answering my questions because this is, in fact, I'm being very Socratic here.
Yes.
So, all right, so to be altruistic, and it's something I very much admire Mike and Jerry, the gentleman behind Penny Arcade, and Robert Koo, the secret mastermind vizier behind Penny Arcade. I trust their judgment. I respect them mightily. Their goal is to be altruistic and to not, to drastically reduce the price. They could sell, I believe, PAX badges for several $100s and still sell out and still have a lot of people who wanted to go but couldn't.
It's possible.
So, by keeping the price low to be altruistic, they simultaneously guarantee that scalping, counterfeiting, and immediate sellout will occur. So this altruistic desire to keep the price low causes 3 individual undesirable outcomes.
That is true, right? Scalping, because if people are willing to pay, $300 to go to PAX because they want it that badly, PAX is that good, and they have that money, a scalper who is able to get a badge quickly can make a very large profit because the price of the actual badge is too low.
Now, this is a tricky situation because the fundamental nature of scalping is not in and of itself immoral, in my opinion, because it is little more than arbitrage. There's a scarce resource, so someone who has that resource then resells it for its current actual market value. However, not for PAX, because you can't really get away with it, but for concerts and things, oftentimes there are scalper organizations that go out of their way to get enough tickets to introduce artificial scarcity themselves, thus becoming like De Beers.
Well, I mean, even if one guy buys one PAX badge and resells it for a higher price, right? And the guy was willing to pay $300. So you're like, well, what's the moral problem? Well, it's bullshit. That dude had to pay $300. He could have just paid the original price, and his only crime...
you could argue that he couldn't have because of scarcity of supply.
Right, but his only crime was being slower at buying the badge than the scalper was.
Yeah, so instead of...
So it's like, because this guy was, one guy is basically being rewarded with a bunch of money just for clicking quickly, and it's sort of, it's kind of dirty. And now this guy who actually wanted to go to PAX ended up spending more money that all went to the scalper and didn't go to PAX just so he could go. And it's like, it's not nice.
But if no one scalped, the badges still sell out immediately.
That's true.
So that problem still occurs.
But it would have been a guy, just giving money to PAX and not having this scalper would not have basically leached of some PAX goer.
What if
that PAX goer, the good person, would have been able to keep more of their money?
What if I, as a person, buy a badge? Because it's very difficult to buy a lot of badges and do the sort of traditional scalper thing.
Yep.
So these are individual people. And remember, Scott, you're forgetting, it's not $300 for nothing. The scalper himself has a PAX badge he is giving up.
But that scalper didn't want the badge.
How do you know he didn't? How do you know that obviously a PAX badge is worth $300 to the person who buys it?
Well, if he's selling it, he didn't want it.
So what if it was worth $299 to the person who was selling it, but not $300?
Oh, like you buy one.
I would go to PAX.
And you want to go.
Yes.
But
and I'm willing to pay $500 to go to a PAX.
But I
bought a badge for $40. Someone offers me $1,000 for my badge.
Right. It's like you're not mega rich. So it's like you bought a PAX badge. You want to go. But someone offers you like $1,000. And it's like, well, $1,000 isn't a huge amount of money for me. I don't have that much. And I really can't afford to give up $1,000 if it means the only other, going to PAX. So I have to take the 1,000 because I
Yep.
need the money more
I'm just
than I
saying that
need
the scalper
PAX.
himself is assuming risk that he might not be able to sell the badge, which is unlikely here.
Very unlikely.
But simultaneously, he is giving up the valuable item in exchange for the money. And also now it means that the price discovery, I'm not necessarily saying I like it to happen. I'm just, the arbitrage that happens, the price discovery that has occurred. What if there was a scalper or a group of scalpers who bought PAX badges, sold them at market prices, and donated all of that money to Child's Play?
Well, I mean, Penny Arcade could just do that themselves, right?
Yes, but then Penny Arcade themselves are directly going against their first principle, which was, we will not make attendance in PAX deterministic upon one's wealth. They could do a lottery.
But then that's even more unfair.
Is it more unfair?
Sort of.
Because the fast clicking is effectively random and equally unfair.
Not exactly.
How so?
Well, because the thing is, if you don't have a lot of money, right? Because some people have money and some people don't.
I see where you're going with this. I'm going to head it off right now.
This is what Penny Arcade says, but everyone has time.
No, the people who don't have a lot of money also don't have a lot of time because they're usually working all the time.
But
so
if you're working...
So if you're poor and you're in a job, you can't just sit there holding down F5. And thus you're guaranteed to not get a badge. In fact, the people who are wealthier are now still more likely to get them because they have jobs where they can dick around on the internet, or they're idly wealthy and don't have any jobs.
Possibly.
So what do we do about that?
Well, it's another question, right? I understand the desire to want to allow someone who doesn't have that much money to go to PAX, but what comes down to is like, look, maybe if you live in Seattle, right, or very nearby, the low badge price can make it, so that a person who has relatively low financial funds
True.
can go. But if you don't live near there, even if the badge is cheap, the airplane and the hotel, if you're that poor that you can't afford, say, a $100 PAX badge versus a $50 one, and that $50 makes the difference for you, you probably can't afford to go there, period, with hotels and travel, so you probably shouldn't be going. Because
Wait
it's
a
not
minute,
something
Scott.
you can afford.
You have just said that it is possible there's a person who would want to go to PAX who shouldn't have. Yet your previous position was that if you want to go to PAX, it is worth all.
It is.
Except maybe there's someone who shouldn't spend all, give up all.
Well, it depends how much they're into it.
You didn't give up everything to go.
I did not. I was stupid. If I could go back in time.
All right, so they raised the badge price to $100. Still sells out.
Of course.
$200 still sells out. $500. Now it's at the price of the plane tickets.
Yeah.
Maybe now it doesn't sell out, but now that $500 is a big deal, even to people who are flying.
That's true. You also can't have a situation where it doesn't sell out, right? It's like you still want to sell every ticket. It's just you want to sell exactly all of them. You don't want to have even one per. Ideally, it obviously can't happen.
So you could do something like a Dutch auction, but again, that rewards the wealthy. You could have a video game tournament.
That's not then only high skilled players would get to go.
Unless it was like the Omegathon where half the games are BS.
Yeah. Here's an idea. What if you said, all right, who's willing to pay the most for a PAX badge? And everyone bids, and the highest guy, after all the auctions...
Scott, do you know how a Dutch auction works?
What?
Okay, anyway, go on.
Right? The highest bidder gets one badge, right? Then that guy's out. He's not allowed to bid again. He's out. He doesn't get any more badges. He can't even bid $1. He can't bid $1 million. He's done. Then you auction again. And you keep auctioning each badge one at a time as the price keeps going down and down and down and down and down.
A Dutch auction would serve the same purpose much better, though you would give up the discovery prices of, for example, people who are willing to pay a ridiculous, inordinate amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
What you could do is something very complex. Like Otacon's Artist Alley and Connecticut's Artist Alley have this huge problem, and Otacon ignored me for years as staff, and I wanted to change it. I figured they should have 4 allocations of Artist Alley tickets. And I feel like something like PAX could do the same thing. Maybe 1/4 of the badges are a Dutch auction. 1/4, or maybe the next
It would
half.
be so complicated, though. People wouldn't understand it. So the education aspect would be so incredibly difficult.
Would that be? Not necessarily, because look, you basically say, I'd have a site. What are you willing to spend? Money, time, or luck? Money is Dutch auction. Time is first clicks, and luck is the lottery.
Most people would just do time and clicks, and then
Yeah.
the rich people do the auction.
So maybe we're self-selecting toward people with better reading comprehension and understanding of statistics.
Yeah,
Because here's the huge difference between PAX and traditional tickets like a concert. I don't care who's in the seat next to me at a concert unless they vomit on me. But I do have a personal selfish interest in who is attending PAX. PAX is also a community and a long-standing event as opposed to a concert, which I buy a ticket that I give up when I arrive.
Yep.
Or maybe I keep a stub to prove that I was there. And the fact that we're even talking about all of this, PAX was just the example. All of these problems happen with everything. Justin Bieber concert happens.
Let's talk about sports tickets, right?
Oh my God, sports tickets, it is literally money. Money means you get to go. More money means you get a better seat.
Yep. And the other thing is, right, the sports tickets have this other problem where they charge too much money so they don't sell out, right? Because they can't really lower the prices. Because, like, let's say you're a season ticket holder and you buy sort of like a middle seat because it's somewhat affordable, and you buy the whole season and you're sitting there. And you didn't buy the more expensive seat because, that's a fancy seat down low, right up on the field or arena or whatever it is, the ice. We'll say hockey, right? So you buy the mezzanine. You didn't buy up against the glass at center ice because.
Then why are you even there?
But then what happens? The center ice ticket is so much money, nobody buys it. So they lower the price. But then wait a minute, the guy who's sitting right behind that seat is like, hey, wait a minute, the seat that's better than mine is now cheaper than what I'm paying. That's bullshit. So the seat stays empty rather than lower the price because another guy already paid more, and then I'm going to give him his money back or let him have a free seat upgrade, right?
There's a whole science, basically, behind determining the prices of tickets to events. And it's a very dry and somewhat boring science with lots of math. But suffice it to say, I think we can all agree on one thing. Fuck Ticketmaster.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Ticketmaster and all those guys.
There's no reason, in my opinion, for a lot of these kinds of ticket services to exist.
Well, here's why they exist, right? So let's say you have a venue of some sort, a convention center, an arena, a concert hall, anything like that. Any place with seats or space, even an outdoor festival, right? And you have some limit number of things you can sell, even if they're just general admission tickets.
Yeah.
There's the logistics of selling the tickets, is something you have to handle. You need the system to scan the barcode on the ticket when the person arrives to make sure it's legit, to make sure the same ticket wasn't used twice. You need to make sure, if you have seats, you need to make sure that, that person bought that seat, don't sell that seat again. Someone already sitting there. There's this whole inventory management if you have events over different days. And there's all these weird situations that happen. This is why if you go to any sporting arena, they have a ticket office with ticket agents, and it's like a whole department just handling tickets, because weird shit can happen, like, oh, you went to the game and it was rained out, so which means your ticket now can be turned into a free ticket of equal or lesser value at any future game. Or, you bought a ticket with ticket insurance and something happened, so you weren't able to go, and now you cash in your ticket insurance to get money or another ticket. Or you buy a ticket, you can't refund it, right? Because you're not allowed to get a refund. That's not allowed. But you want to sell it legally, and you could just sell it on StubHub or something. But another thing a lot of places offer is like consignment. So like I buy a ticket to a sporting event, I give the ticket back to them, then they sell the ticket like it's a new ticket, and then I get some of the money from them selling the ticket because they basically sell it for me on consign. There's all these crazy weird things that happen. So you're a venue. All this crazy weird shit could happen, and you need a system to deal with that. Are you going to just roll your own system? Hell no,
Scott. So there could be more competition. There's very little competition for Ticketmaster, and they've been sued for antitrust stuff.
A lot.
Yeah, and there are a lot of venues that basically have agreements with Ticketmaster where if I'm a band and I'm performing in this venue, I have to use Ticketmaster even if there is an equally valid competitor.
Right, so that's the thing, is you're sitting there and you are a venue and you need some system to handle this. So Ticketmaster says, hey, we'll handle that shit. Sign this contract where you agree to all this crazy nonsense. And it's pretty much your choice is to sign that contract or go find something else. But if you find something else, because other people have signed agreements with Ticketmaster, right? And because, of all kinds of other reasons of, other systems don't have as many customers, so are going to have problems that Ticketmaster has mostly solved, even though Ticketmaster also has problems. You pretty much sort of have to go with them or someone else evil, maybe Telecharge, or, you have to go with one of the big evil guys, and now they're handling all this stuff for you. So what's the problem with that? Well, the problem is the way Ticketmaster makes money is they don't make money from like you, the venue, right? You just sign a contract with them that you're exclusive with them. They make money because, okay, I have a concert hall, someone has a concert. Someone walks up to the concert hall and buys a ticket. Okay, well, I have Ticketmaster machines they gave me. The machines print out the tickets and I give them to people and we sell them for the cover price, that's written on the ticket, no problem. But if someone goes to Ticketmaster.com or calls Ticketmaster on the phone to buy a ticket, then Ticketmaster adds like 30% ridiculous service charge, and the person buying the ticket has to pay that. And that's where all Ticketmaster's money comes from. And without Ticketmaster...
that and there are lawsuit allegations of things like taking allocations of tickets and diverting them to scalpers or to other websites that they also own.
But I mean, without Ticketmaster, then everyone who wants to buy a ticket would have to call our box office directly, and our box office has to set up an e-commerce system that handles inventory and people clicking like crazy to try to get tickets, when the thing goes online, and someone clicked, they want to buy the ticket, so it's a complicated system you have to set up, and not every box office of 1,000-seat theater is not capable of setting this up for themselves to work independently. And also, you lose actually some sales, because how many people come to the Scott's Arena website to look for tickets to things, right? No, there are people out there who are thinking, I'm going to live in New York, I want to go to a concert. What's going on? And they go to Ticketmaster because it has all the concerts in town, whereas they're not going to go to every different website for every different arena in town to figure out what concert to go to.
So apparently, not that long ago, the president of Ticketmaster appeared on NPR for an interview or something, and basically said that he is begging legislators to make the selling of tickets from person to person illegal in a general sense.
Yep.
Except through Ticketmaster's own product. And he's basically went on to talk about how this would otherwise ruin the industry and ruin the economy and all this kind of BS.
There was actually, a couple years ago, New York State, I don't think it happened, right? They were actually going to pass a good law that almost happened that would have basically said you can't just add crazy service charges to ticket sales. If you're selling a ticket, you have to sell it for the price of the ticket. You can't just be like, I'm just going to add 30% to that. Because I'm selling it on the internet. They were going to outlaw that, which would have basically, ruined Ticketmaster. It would have been the opposite of what Ticketmaster guy wanted. And it would have been really great for the actual venues and such. But then what would have happened is Ticketmaster and those kinds of people would have pulled out of those venues, because why service them? You're not making any money helping them out. And then they would have all been sort of in the water looking for someone to help them sell tickets and manage inventory and all that nonsense.
Wow, they're even trying to overturn... I'm on the Wikipedia page now, if you couldn't tell. Ticketmaster in Canada is trying to overturn some anti-scalping laws so that they can then scalp tickets.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is another thing, right? Look at, over in, Broadway, there's that TKTS line, right? You know what that's all about is you're a theater, you're the ticket manager, and your show isn't Wicked, it's not Book of Mormon, so it's not sold out. It's not PAX. So you got a bunch of leftover tickets. Well, you'd really like to make some money, but nobody wants them. At least not at the price you're selling or the Ticketmaster price. So you take a bunch of tickets and you go to TKTS and you say, hey, TKTS, I'll sell you these tickets in a big bundle for like a huge discount. And they say, okay. And then tourists line up at TKTS because they're certainly not lining up at the theater, right? Because if you line up at the theater, the only show you can get tickets for is that show, and you're going to pay full price. So you line up at TKTS, and there's a whole bunch of shows to choose from, all the shows that didn't sell out. So you can actually sort of, wait in one line and get your choice, which is really convenient. And then the ticket's going to be like half off because TKTS bought it at a discount, and they're only adding a little bit to the discounted price, which is going to be lower than the full price. So, when something is not selling well, there's these sort of like self-scalping It's not really scalping because you're not charging more and it's being sold legitimately, but it's sort of like, shit, I'm the legitimate holder of these tickets and no one wants to go. I got to dump them. And, that kind of thing happens. Actually, scalping usually happens when you can't, all the tickets are out. And then, someone can be like, hey,
or
demand
when a
is too high.
scalper does, when they're out either naturally because the price was too low. Remember,
Or when a scalper bought them all.
Scalping can only happen if the price is too low for an event relative to what the market will bear, or
The supply is
the
much
supply
lower.
is artificially constricted
Or
by
actually-
the activities of the scalpers.
Or actually legitimately constricted.
no, if they're constricted, that means that the price was too low.
It's also, no,
No,
'cause there
they're
are
not.
cases.
No, they're not.
There are some times where a crazy famous person, right, will play in a small venue, and no matter how high you set the price, right,
No, there is a price you could set.
but there are sometimes it's like, I guess if you raise like,
Yeah, $1 million a seat for the 14 seats.
yeah, it's not going to be 14 seats, but
Could be.
very few places have 14 seats.
Granted, on the other side of that scale, like I went to that concert with Chase a while ago that was actually in a bootleg illegal club where I gave them cash at the door and they stamped my hand with a blob of black ink.
Nice.
That was my ticket.
Nice.
When we walked out, people were like hanging out in front of the venue and the guy's like, you guys can't stand in front of the venue. Clearly, the implied follow-up sentence was because otherwise the police will know I have an illegal club venue in my basement.
Yep. All right, is there anything else ticketing, it's one of those things that, sort of everyone has to deal with at some point in their life, and they don't think too much about it at all, really.
Yes, like
But there's
the
this
reason I wanted to
huge-
talk about this, nerds especially, events like conventions. Nerds complain that how do you mean it's sold out? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like you realize ticketing alone, regardless of any other things that happen at the event, is this vastly complex issue. We haven't even really scratched the surface of all the things that go on with ticketing. It's so crazy complex. How do you, are you going to allow re-entry? Are you going to, there's so, handicapped access for those
Well,
kind
here's
of
an example,
seats.
Kineticon. We run the panels and workshops at
Companies
Kineticon.
buying up seats.
Our website, the Kineticon website, has an ability, mostly for gaming events, for people who've already registered for the convention to reserve a slot in an event ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
For a 5-person D&D event, that's fine. For a panel room that seats 1,000 people, the logistics of our department dealing with people registering ahead of time for the event would require us to quintuple our staff.
Yeah, we're never going to do that. Ever.
I will if we quintuple our staff.
No, why would we want to do that, though, even if we had the staff to
No
do it?
lines.
I guess.
No line ever.
I guess. But then it would really reward first come, first serve on the website. Anyway.
Yeah, and then you'd also have the angry parents.
Ticketing alone is so vastly complicated, right? And it's like you don't even think about it. You think, oh, it's simple. You go to the box, you pay money, you get a ticket, you go up to the door, the turnstile, you give the ticket, you walk in, and that's all you think about.
Well, in terms of, the nerd care, like Penny Arcade Expo selling out, SDCC selling out, it is very simple. If an event sold out, and there were people who wanted tickets who couldn't get them, that event was underpriced. There is no other solution unless there is some sort of collusion to artificially restrict the supply and then a follow-up scalping.
Anyway. But yeah, ticketing's complicated. Don't think you know anything about ticketing. Because I don't even know anything about ticketing.
And
but I know more than the average person.
Thus concludes the lowest energy episode of Geeknights in a while.
It's all right. We'll be back soon.
Soonish.
Next week.
Yeah, next week we got what? It's Monday, Wednesday.
Great.
What do you want to do the show on Monday?
Something exciting.
We get Conrad on.
I don't know.
If we get Conrad on, let's not talk about phones or laptops.
Great. So nothing.
This has been Geek Nights with Rym and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.